How's it going, everyone? This is SoulSinged here, and welcome to my review of Battlebots Season 6, Episode 7. I'm kind of short on time, and didn't really feel like getting my regular recording set up, so I'm just doing a voiceover over the fight card. But people don't really view these anyway, so it's not like it really matters. As you can see, this is the fight card where I made my predictions. I got 6 out of the 8 fights correct. I got the bonus fight wrong, and I got the Copperhead versus Fusion fight wrong, but the rest of them I got correct. So, without further ado, let's just get straight into the fights. Now, this episode showed a return to form for several teams. The first fight of the match was Bloodsport versus SubZero. Bloodsport looked like how it did last season. It looked very good in this match. Very dominant, very destructive, very durable. The same Bloodsport that made the number 2 seed last season. And SubZero hung in there for as long as it could, but eventually got destroyed by Bloodsport. It wasn't any massive hits or anything. It was more or less just Bloodsport slowly chipping away at it over time. SubZero only got one flip in this entire match, and it's not because its flipper was broken or anything. It just kept mistiming its flips. It would fire its flipper a good half a second to a full second later than it should. I don't know if they were just mistiming their flips, or if there was some sort of input lag, or what the deal is. But either way, SubZero wasn't able to actually land any flips. They fired their flipper a bunch, but they weren't able to actually land any flips. Now, the next fight of the night was Cobalt versus Ghost Raptor. Cobalt, of course, took a loss in their first fight against Fusion, and in this match, they were going up against Ghost Raptor. Now, Ghost Raptor was in control of the fight at first. They got a couple solid hits in on Cobalt, had them wedged in the screws, had an opening to just tear into the backside, but they hung back. Cobalt got free and just dominated the match from there. Yeah, it was all Cobalt after that. They disabled Ghost Raptor's weapon very quickly, got a few solid hits in, and the final hit is probably one of the best hits I have ever seen in modern Battlebots. Cobalt scooped up Ghost Raptor, rammed them at full speed into the wall, and just completely obliterated Ghost Raptor. They broke apart into about 4 or 5 different pieces, just completely destroyed. We don't really see too many hits like that in modern BattleBots, especially after the first couple seasons. In the last couple seasons, we haven't really seen any super monster hits. We've seen a few, but not many, so this was definitely one of the best hits that I've seen in the modern BattleBots. And then the third fight of the night was Icewave versus Deadlift. Deadlift, of course, being the lifter. They lost their first match to Jackpot. And Icewave also lost their first match against Black Dragon, where their weapon broke down almost immediately. So for this fight, they went with their old robot. The one that was one of the most destructive bots of the first few seasons. And they did good. They really just kind of came out and got a few hits on Deadlift, and Deadlift died. It wasn't a very long match. A very convincing win for Icewave, but they were going up against a fairly non-threatening opponent. So, still not fully convinced that Icewave is still a competitor. They definitely looked better than their first match, but not fully convinced that Icewave is still capable of being a top contender. And the next fight was another really fun match. It was Blip versus Overhaul. Blip, of course, being the new flipper bot that is coming from the same team that has made Tantrum. It is a flywheel flipper, incredibly overly engineered, absolutely insane, and it looked pretty good in this match. Once again, they were going against a bot that couldn't really damage them, so we didn't really get to see what sort of durability Blip has, but they got a ton of flips in, and Overhaul was taking them fairly well until they just took so many flips and so many hits that Overhaul just began to break down and eventually completely broke. And Blip took the win here. Blip was showing a bit of drive issues, not enough to really hinder it. It seems to have a problem with wheeling and just sort of losing control because of how fast it is. So that is one thing that it'll have to keep in mind as they go forward. If they get up against a really good driver, some of the crazy breakdancing stunts that Blip was doing in this match could be its downfall. But very powerful flipper, very convincing win for Blip. And yeah, Blip is now my favorite flipper in Battlebots. So yeah. Next fight we have Huge versus Retrograde. And this fight reminded everyone of what Huge could do. Yeah, Huge just came out and completely dominated Retrograde, and they got some really solid hits in, and that's all there was to the match. Before this match started, Chris and Kenny were talking about how Huge started off doing very well in Battlebots, and how last season was a very bad season for them, and how the first match of this season went very poorly for them, and kind of saying that Huge is getting to the point where they either need to start showing improvement or showing that this design is already washed up. And that is a fair point, because at first Huge did very, very well in his early seasons because no one knew how to handle it. And now people are slowly starting to figure out different ways to handle Huge. But in this match, Huge kind of reminded everyone that, hey, we can freaking hit. And that's what Huge did. Huge is one of my favorite bots. They're a fan favorite. And yeah, very, very good win for Huge. Very convincing win. And I really hope they do good and make a deep run in the tournament. And then next is the first fight that I guessed incorrectly, and that was Copperhead versus Fusion. I believed that Fusion would win this match based on how good they looked in their first fight. However, Copperhead just kind of came out and dominated this match, and Fusion's old problems sort of re-arised, and yeah, Copperhead had a fairly easy victory in this one. And then the main event was Whiplash versus Scorpios. This was a very, very good fight. A very, very strategic fight. For the second time this season, Whiplash went in with just its lifter and not its spinner. And yeah, amazing driving, amazing control from both teams. But Whiplash did just a little bit more than Scorpios to get the win. But very, very good match. Very, very good fight from both teams. And, you know, everyone talks about the runner-up curse and how it seems like after every season, the runner-up does poorly. If you look at Bite Force in Season 2, did not do very well. Bombshell in Season 3 did not do very well. Minotaur in Season 4 did not do very well. Witch Doctor in Season 5 did not do very well. I might have been saying that wrong the entire time. I'll have to go back in the recording. Like I said, I'm very tired while I'm making this, so just excuse the very, very poor quality. But the point being that the runner-up of every season has done poorly in the following season, and Whiplash seems to finally be breaking the runner-up curse, because they're 2-0 and have had two very convincing wins. And then for the YouTube exclusive, we had Switchback versus Slammo. This was an okay fight, especially by the YouTube standards. Switchback showed that it does have some power in that drum. Still don't really see the practicality of having the articulating arm, because once again, that didn't really show to have much use. Slammo was very, very slow and sluggish in this match. And Switchback was also fairly slow and sluggish in this match. But Switchback got some hits in, got some pretty nice hits in, and Slammo just broke down. I don't know if they were really able to come back at 100% after their match against Hypershock, but yeah, just a okay fight. And again, Switchback showed that it has some power in that weapon. It's just very, very slow, and I still question the practicality of the whole articulating arm thing, because if Switchback goes up against any sort of spinner, that drum's getting ripped off. I am more than convinced that drum will just get ripped right off. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up my review of episode 7 of season 6 of Battlebots. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Getting close to 2,000 subscribers. I'm super, super thankful for that. And yeah, peace.